In geometry, there's a rule about triangles that says 3 side lengths can form a triangle if and only if the sum of the 2 shorter sides is longer than the longest side. If we draw that out, it kind of makes sense. If we have this triangle, for example, the sides might be 3, 4, and 5. However, if we tried to draw a triangle that had one really long side, like this side 12, and 2 shorter sides, like this side 2 and this side 3, we can see there's no way we can fold the 2 shorter sides such that they'll complete the triangle. If the 2 shorter sides equal the longer side, like this side 7 and this side 5, then they'll fold all the way down and just be the same line. So the sum of the 2 shorter lines must be longer than the longer line. What does all that have to do with programming, though? Well, imagine writing a little application that asks the user to input 3 sides in ascending order of length, and then it checks to see if they're able to form a triangle. So here, line 2 asks the user to enter the shortest side, which the user says is 1. Line 4 asks for the next shortest side, and line 5 asks for the longest side. The user enters 2 and 3 for those 2 sides. Then, line 9 runs this tricky little statement. It creates a variable named result, and it sets result equal to the result of this expression. This expression should look familiar from our logical and mathematical operators. We start by evaluating those parentheses, which say add side 1 and side 2. So we get the values of those 2 variables, which are 1 and 2, and we put them in for the variables 1 and 2. The result is 1 plus 2 equals 3. And so this parentheses is now effectively replaced by the number 3. Similarly, then we get the value for the variable named side 3, which was 3. We replace the variable name with that value, and now we can actually evaluate this statement. 3 is greater than 3. Is that true or false? Well, it's false that 3 is greater than 3 because 3 equals 3. The result of that, the value false, then gets assigned to our variable result. And so when line 11 runs, it prints the statement, these sides can form a triangle, and then says what the result of that statement is, whether it's true or false. Here, because 3 is not greater than 3, it's false that these sides can form a triangle. So here we used mathematical and logical operators together to create some interesting behavior in our program. Now there were some complicated things going on here, so make sure not to miss any of it. First, remember that we had to convert the user input to an integer in order to use it in an actual mathematical expression. When the user just entered the number 1, the computer saw it as the string 1. It saw it as text, not as a number. It could use that for certain things, but it couldn't use that for mathematical operations like this. It's actually a little bit interesting. If you didn't include those conversions, the code should still run just fine. Side 1 plus side 2 is going to become a string concatenation. It's going to put those 2 strings together. And instead of adding 1 and 2, it's going to result in the string 12. It's then going to ask if 12 is greater than the string 3, and that's actually still false. So in this case, we would still get the right answer, that it's false that those sides can form a triangle, but we would get it for the wrong reason. It would regard 12 as not greater than 3 because 12 would come first alphabetically, which means it would have a quote-unquote lower value. Don't worry too much if that was pretty confusing. The important takeaway there is just the observation that it's kind of interesting how broken code can still give you the right results sometimes. So when we're testing, we need to make sure to test on lots of different kinds of input. Note also that this print statement at the bottom is a little bit new. It's using this comma to just tell the print statement to print multiple things in order. We can put any number of different things that we want to put in these parentheses separated by commas. Note also that a space appeared between is and false in our output, even though there was no space at the end of our string and there's no space at the beginning of false. That's because when we use this comma to give multiple things to print, Python automatically adds a space in between each thing it prints. We can override that, and we'll talk about how later.